Hello and welcome back to the studio. I'm Dr. Wiggo, and today I'm going to tell you what I would do if I were going to be Apple's new CEO on September 1st. It could still happen. This is not necessarily what John Turnus should do as Apple's new CEO, although they are things he should think about. This is what I would focus on based on my experiences and my research and my business and my knowledge of economics. I have a completely different perspective than someone who's been doing hardware inside of Apple for all of these many years. But these are some of the big things that I think Apple needs to be thinking about and that I would be focusing on if I were going to be the new CEO. Let's just dive right in. The first thing I would do is lean into the network externality. What am I talking about? In several previous videos, I have mentioned the network externality and I said I'll talk about that in some future video. The time has come. The network externality is a concept from economics that some products become more valuable the more people that use them. The reason it's called the network externality is because this was first posited for like networked type products. Like the telephone. When the telephone was first invented, it was not of a lot of use because nobody had one. But the more people that got them, the more valuable it became for you to have one so you could communicate with them. Email is another one. The more people that have email addresses, the more people you can email with, then the more valuable email becomes as a thing to you. I got my first email in 1980. In 1980, there was almost no one I could email with except other people in the bank that I was working at the time. But over time, now everybody has email. In fact, if you don't have an email address on your business card, people are going to look at you funny. Like, what's the matter with you? You don't have email? Fax machines were another example. The more people that got fax machines, the more valuable it became to have a fax machine. And one of the things that goes on with tech products is that as this is happening, as they're becoming more valuable, as more people are using them, the price is often coming down too. So you get this thing where then more people can afford it. So the more people that have it, the more valuable it is, but then more people can afford it, so more people have it, so the more valuable it is. You see where this heads. In fact, it's how Windows ended up dominating the PC operating system market instead of the much superior Mac OS. Mac OS even had almost a 7-year head start over Windows in the graphical user interface space, and Windows still was able to overcome it using the network externality. Because Microsoft got PC makers to install Windows on their PCs, and then the more people that had it, the more people that use the same operating system, the easier it is for you to trade files, to get tech support. There are dozens of reasons why the more people that have an operating system, the more useful it becomes, which is why in a lot of tech products, because of the network externality, things tend to either go one way or the other. They call these tippy markets. They either tip to one side or the other. Most of the time, you will not have multiple products subject to a network externality flourishing at the same time. One always wins and one always loses. Always is a strong term, but it's kind of accurate. What I mean for Apple to lean into the network externality is to put a lot of focus on the operating systems and the software. Why are iPhones more valuable if more people have iPhones? It's not the hardware. It's not even iOS. It's the features inside, like iMessage. That's the thing everybody's always whining about. I don't have an iPhone, so my text bubbles are green and not blue. That's a network externality working. By focusing on putting more features into the operating systems and the software that make Apple products more useful, the more people that have them, like AirDrop. Lots of little things like that. You can lean into the network externality with lots of little features that just the more of these that pile up, the more valuable it is if other people also have the same phone you do, or the same computer, or the same tablet, or the same Vision Pro. I'm just kidding. In other words, Apple should take the concept of the externality and use it to make their products more valuable to more people so that more people will want their products, and as more people get their products, it will make it valuable to more people, and the cycle will go on. There's a related concept in economics called complementarity. Complementary products are products that complement each other. Hardware and software is an off-sided example because hardware is useless without software. And again, back to the network externality, more people having Dell computers did not make Dell computers more valuable. More people having Windows made Windows more valuable. It's usually the software, not the hardware. That's what drives this complementarity, is typically the software. Now, Apple has already been doing this. Continuity, one of the most wonderful things Apple has ever done. You copy something on your phone and you can paste it on your Mac, or paste it on your iPad, or paste it in your Vision Pro. As you move from device to device, you can continue editing the same documents. Continuity is amazing. You can transfer phone calls from your watch to your phone to your Mac. It's a wonderful thing, and it makes being inside Apple's walled garden all the more pleasant. You want to be there because it's so easy to move around and do things and go from here to there, rather than export and then import the way most software makes you work. Continuity is brilliant, and they need to do more stuff like that and broaden the ecosystem. The more things that are in this ecosystem that all work seamlessly together, the more people will want to be in there. Back to the network externality. So these rumors that Apple's going to come out with home camera systems and security systems, keyless entry systems, these are the kind of things that broaden the ecosystem and then make the whole ecosystem better and make people want to be in there. By the way, if I were CEO, I would put thermostats in there. Nest was a great idea for a thermostat from a former Apple employee, the guy that did the iPod, and Google completely destroyed it when they acquired that company. Apple could do better. Apple could do better on the whole home automation front. Yes, it's great to do HomeKit and try to let other people's stuff work with you. Make your own stuff that works with it and then let other people plug into your ecosystem. Life would be better for everyone. One thing I would do starting in September, as soon as I took over the job, is start building on the MacBook Neo's popularity. This thing could be a juggernaut. It's already way more popular than I thought it would be. I would rush the next model out with an upgraded chip, the A19 Pro. I would really push adoption in education and business. As one of my commenters said, when people use a computer at work, they'll often buy the same kind of computer at home. So if you got Windows at work, you'll have Windows at home. But if you have Mac at work, you'll have Mac at home. And like in the old days when Apple was big in education, people grew up using Mac in schools, and so when they graduated, they bought more Macs. Apple needs to get back into the education market in a big way, and the MacBook Neo is the way to do it. They need to work on market share. I'm not talking about old school business research. In the olden days, there were all these academic papers published that said, well, market share is what leads to profitability. No. Having good products that a lot of people buy leads you to sell more of them, and then that leads to more market share, but the profitability isn't because you have the market share. The profitability is because you had good products that people want to buy. And that's what Apple has, but they do not have the market share. But what's going on right now? Windows is on the ropes. Microsoft has recently issued an apology for how crappy it is. They've started taking ads out of the start menu. They're making all sorts of changes to make it more palatable because people are leaving in droves. They were leaving for Linux on PCs, but now they're leaving for MacBook Neos and MacBook Airs. Take advantage of Windows weaknesses, and there are many, and push hard into the education market and the business market. They've been working on the business stuff. I talked about that a few weeks ago, and there's a video link below. But education market share and business market share are the future drivers of Apple's profitability. They'll never grow the Mac market big enough with $3,000 MacBook Pros, but they can do it with inexpensive MacBook Neos and MacBook Airs. I would push hard against Windows right now. My last big area of concern that I would want to focus on if I were Apple CEO would be Apple's reliance on China. China and Taiwan. The TSMC geopolitical situation is kind of worrying. China has been making noises for years that they want to acquire Taiwan and make it part of China. That will be a huge disruption to TSMC. Apple is already losing clout with TSMC because NVIDIA is now buying up way more of their production, and Apple isn't their biggest customer anymore. And that gave Apple all sorts of advantages that they're not going to have going forward. There's already been rumors that Apple is looking at Intel and maybe Samsung to do more of their chip fabrication, and this would be a good thing. Let me propose a radical idea. I think Apple should consider building their own fabs. The problem with semiconductor manufacturing is that a semiconductor fab costs about $10 billion, and that's just to get it built. Then you have all the additional costs that go into it. Name another company that is generating the kind of cash that they could use to build more fabs. Maybe do it in partnership with TSMC in the US or with Intel or with Samsung, but get more chip making capacity. Apple's already designing the chips. It's just a little step farther to manufacturing. Okay, it's a big step farther because it's way more complicated. But I think Apple is going to have to do something because TSMC is going to turn into a problem either because of increased demand from other manufacturers who are outstripping Apple's demand, so Apple's not their number one customer anymore, or from geopolitical things moving around that could get TSMC in trouble. Don't forget earthquakes. Most of you are probably too young to remember, but when I was young, there was an earthquake in Japan and it knocked out a glue factory. So big deal. It was the glue factory that made the glue that they used to glue DRAMs onto the little sticks. And when that factory went down, there was a massive shortage of DRAM around the world. Wait, sound familiar? Yeah, except this time it's not because of an earthquake, it's because of, let's not get into that. By the way, what if Apple had already built their own fabs and was already making their own DRAM? Wait, and not DRAM, making unified memory designed differently from DRAM, not just taking standard DRAM chips, but designing their own special memory chips. That could give them a leg up. Yes, these are really long-term things. If they decided to do this September 1st, it would probably be 5 years before they had a working fab that could make things that they could put into their products. But if they don't start, it'll never happen. So those are the major areas I would focus on if I were taking over as the new CEO of Apple. John Turnus needs to look at a lot of these same things. He has a lot more insider knowledge, so he knows what they're already doing. Like I said, they may already be doing some of this stuff, we just don't know about it. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by. See you next time. Bye-bye. Now I got to go come up with something else to say next week. Thanks for staying to the end. Bye-bye.